So we're going to make sure that this is in the right order for the Versant printer, right? We want 8.5 by 11 pages. Everyone's working on 8.5 by 11. Okay, really? Okay. And we want them in order 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't need to worry about like where it's being printed. The printer is going to do all of that for us. So I have made a little bit of a mistake here in that my artboard 1 is actually the 3rd page into my document, right? So it says a little 1 here, and I can tell this because I'm on the artboard tool, and so all the titles appear. So it's actually going to go like 1, and then this is page 2, and this is page 3, and this is page 4. And like I could spend time like moving them around in Illustrator, or I can just save it as a PDF. And we can edit it in Acrobat, which is what he's also going to have you print from. So if I open up that PDF once it's done saving, and I have a bunch of extra blank pages at the end so that I actually have 8 pages, even though mine is just an example document and it's not anywhere near like all the required things for you. At least all of the required flats. I don't have 10 flats. Wow, I didn't expect this to take so long. We are almost there. Oh no, I hit stop. That's, oh, I had it saved already. I shouldn't have saved it again. It's kind of my point. So in Adobe Acrobat, here it is. Except it's in the right order now, actually, of course. Here it is, and it's, yeah, so that was the old file that I hadn't saved over yet. And my 3rd page is in the front, and my 2nd page, and then my front page is the 3rd page. So it's all out of order. And I also might want to add my design board in at this point. As long as my design board is on 8.5 by 11, it should be fine, or it's been designed that way on 8.5 by 11. So I can choose, I can choose organize pages over here on the right. This is Adobe Acrobat. There's a difference between Adobe Acrobat and Adobe Reader, right? Adobe Reader just lets you look at PDFs, where Adobe Acrobat allows you to do some editing of them. So we can organize the pages over here on the right, and then we can just drag and drop them into the right order. This is also where if I needed to add another page, or if I wanted to, if I had for some reason done like all of my pages in separate files, I would be able to combine them through Adobe Acrobat. So I can, under everyday drama, I have like my mood board in here, and I've saved it as a JPEG on 11 by 17. Or at 11 by 17, so when I drag it in here, of course now I would have 9 pages, but I can just delete one of my blank ones. And when I drag it in here, I can adjust and add it to it, no problem. And I can trash one of my extra pages if I want to. So Adobe Acrobat is extremely handy. I honestly use it like almost every day, and it's weird that a lot of people don't have Adobe Acrobat and like cannot edit PDFs ever, but it's really handy. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, and then we can save it, and it'll look normal again, or in the right order at least. So it looks beautiful, I guess, except that this is pretty repetitive. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to say about the Versant. In Acrobat Pro, you can also go to File, Create, and choose Combine Files into a single PDF. And then, yeah, I had dropped some JPEGs in there earlier, but like if I wanted to, I can just keep adding, I could add my JPEGs in as needed, right? Um, do you guys have questions on the Versant right now? Okay. So the other thing that's on the syllabus for me to go over today is options for web-based portfolios. I did end up going over this just briefly with the other class. Are you guys interested, or are you like, I want to do my work? I'll talk. You guys don't listen anyway. Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, although like they seem kind of basic, are actually some of your best options for getting noticed online. With things like personal websites, they like can sometimes be hard to like get to the top of Google search results or whatever, and like people could stumble upon your Instagram or Twitter just randomly just based on the hashtags you use. There's just like a lot more eyes on Twitter than there are on other platforms. I have a friend, Erin Dana, who now does illustrations for ESPN, and he got noticed through Twitter, and he only had like 20 followers, and now he's been on a commercial on ESPN, which is wild, like him doing his art. So this is a really good option, and like they do kind of limit you in the fact that you can't upload like super high quality images, right? Like they're all just 1080 pixels wide, 1080 pixels wide. But they like it is nice to be able to stay connected this way. I had a question in the last class about if there's a way to upload to Instagram from your desktop, because you guys might have run into this, like you have to do this whole like email it to yourself or put it on Google Drive and then upload it onto Instagram. And what I'm going to say is that on Instagram TV, I think because this goes up to 10 minutes and it would be really hard to get a 10-minute video onto your phone in a lot of cases, you can upload Instagram TV straight from Instagram.com on the web, like on my desktop here. And then I also have on my personal laptop this browser called Windowed, and it looks just like this on my laptop. And it's literally, this is just a web browser that's designed so that you can upload files to Instagram from your desktop, and that's all it's for. So if you do, that's something you want, there it is, you can do it. It just requires a third-party app that I always forget to use, and I end up I just download things to my phone and then post them on Instagram. Unless I'm doing something complicated, like I have a second account where I do all triptychs, so I have to post 3 at a time, and sometimes I do it through here, through Windowed, which I have on my laptop. Okay, besides Instagram and Twitter, do you guys know of any other websites that you can post your portfolios on? So there are things like Handshake, which you guys, that's what you have, here it is. This is what you have through school, that the school sends you job applications and then you can apply to them through Handshake. And the other class was like, they don't have any good jobs. And I really don't know what kind of jobs. It's kind of like...
Their jobs aren't like great. Usually people are looking for something like specific and long term.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't really, it's hard to like have somebody in between entry level and like it's not really entry level for some jobs, but like you have to click it because it's not like you have like over a year of their type of experience.
Yeah, it can be very specific experience.
Like a lot better.
Okay, so yeah, so there's also Indeed, and then there's just straight up LinkedIn. And all of these things do have like places where you can post your resume and potentially post, I don't know about Indeed, but Handshake does have places where you can post photographs of your work as well, which is nice. Yeah, I think all of these are just like LinkedIn for, or like that kind of section is just like LinkedIn for art. So another thing that's on the list is Behance, and then there's a third one called Coraflot, which I don't know anything about, but I have heard of Behance. Behance is Adobe's like publishing platform. So I have a favorite artist called her name is Flora Borsi, and she does this crazy digital art, and she does post art to her Behance, and like this seems to allow for higher quality images than on her Instagram. She also has a personal website, so I'm not quite sure why she does it all, but it does seem like this is like a nice way to organize things, and it's probably connected, like it's connected to your Adobe account, which can be nice. So Coraflot, I think this is another one of these like LinkedIn for art, where we could like find jobs or post jobs, and probably hold a resume, like put our resume or portfolio up here. These aren't exactly places that you would want to like, I don't know, that you would want to send people to your Coraflot in order for them to view your portfolio. But when I was applying for this job, I did list my Instagram on my resume, and they did look at my Instagram, and they were like, oh, look at this line of leggings that you're selling. Like, that will be so interesting for you to teach textile design to these kids. So like, it's not like sending them to your Instagram isn't, I wouldn't consider it unprofessional at this point, especially where I have like a professional Instagram. This isn't my personal Instagram, I guess. I don't have a personal Instagram. I just have a professional one, really. I guess my dog's Instagram is my personal Instagram. So there's also making your own website, like with Wix. So I had a Wix a long time ago, and Wix is really good at building websites. Oh, there's also Weebly, but and like you can get a website for free through Wix, which is the benefit of it. The free plan is it has like, you'll still have Wix in your name on, like when you go to your website, it'll still be wix.com/something. And then it also would put, like, it has like a watermark on it still somewhere, like it'll say Wix somewhere on your website. But then plans start at $11 per month after that, which is pretty reasonable. Squarespace is a lot more expensive. I'd have to look up the pricing for it, but it goes high, and then it doesn't start extremely low. But Squarespace has like the slickest designs, I think, and it markets itself as like really friendly for designers. So it's just up to you, like what type of portfolio you want to use. But having an online portfolio is much easier to update than a print portfolio. It's so much easier to update. So on the Moodle, I do have a couple videos. We don't have to watch them, but these are like the top 3 digital portfolio sites, and then how to create a fashion portfolio. And I actually really love this video. I think she did a really good job. And I'm actually just gonna use some of her slides really quick. So she goes through the benefits of various types of print portfolios. So you can get a fancy box for your print portfolio and have the pages in there kind of loose leaf, which is nice. And she puts like swatches in there and everything. But it can look messy even though it looks like creative and it's really easy to update. There's also the traditional folder with sleeves, which is again really easy to update and easy to like understand and move through. But it can be pretty boring looking, and like if you were to put fabric swatches on any of your design boards or anything, you wouldn't be able to touch them. She calls it hand feel, which I've never really heard before, but it's a good word. And then she also talks about this kind of loose leaf folder, which has the same ideas as the box, really. It's easy to update, but it can look messy. There's also the option of getting a printed book. I might try to bring my portfolio book in next class, but printed books are really nice for, they just like look incredibly professional and impressive when you give someone like a bound book of your work, but again, really hard to update. I do think that the printer that we're going to use with the layout catalog style is actually a nice solution for like somewhere in between a printed book and a loose leaf folder, right? Like you could have all of your projects in like these little catalog books with nice front covers and like a nice layout on all of them, and then you could be handing that to a job interviewer. It's just something to think about. Your hand, like how does your physical portfolio then relate to your online portfolio, right? So your online portfolio compared to a book, which is basically impossible to update, your online portfolio is easy to update. You know, it's for free in some cases. You can have videos on there. So it's just something to think about. Your online portfolio, even if it's just an Instagram, should be something that people like, that gets them interested in you, right? So like that's how they find you, and then the physical portfolio, you can bring that in for the job interview to really seal the deal, right? That's the idea anyway. So that's just like my super quick lecture on these things. You might get more of this in like a senior seminar class or something like that, where they'll really focus you in on making a portfolio and a website. But even just keeping an Instagram up to date is nice. Although Instagram can be kind of like draining to keep it updated all the time. But you know, you'll get there, and it's good to have these things in a place and like be kind of accountable for them. Especially like process work is fun to keep on your Instagram, and using your stories to document your process work for later on, because you can always like edit them or take screenshots of your stories or whatever. Okay, yeah, questions on any of that? That was quick. Okay, questions on anything at all? So in a half an hour, we will we'll head downstairs and get a quick lecture from, I think it's Patrick. Okay.